Welcome back to another episode of the To Be Seen podcast. I'm your host, Angela Lauren. And for this episode, it's just going to be me today. I really just wanted to get a little bit more personal. So I kind of wanted to tell you guys a story and just stay with me. It has a point. So, my grandmother, God rest her soul, one of my favorite people ever, she was very adamant about her grandchildren stepping into a room, having etiquette, knowing how to speak properly. She was just very particular about how we showcased ourselves in the world. So when my cousin and I were younger and we went to go visit our grandmother or our grandparents during the summers or the holidays, I remember she used to sit us down and we would practice at a table of how to use certain forks, how to use certain silverware, how what glass was ours, how to take the bread from the table and eat it. I remember this specifically about the bread. And she would be very particular about when you sit at a table, you do not get a roll and just open it and just start like eating it like it's a sandwich. You take a little, especially as women, she would say you would take a little piece of bread, spread a little butter, then eat a little piece. And as a young kid who was always very particular about food, I was always like, I love bread. So I had a hard time with that because I always wanted to just stuff several rolls down my face. And she was so adamant about it. Being a young lady, being very particular, she would always say, you don't eat a butter sandwich, you just take a little piece and be as dainty and basically just making sure you look as proper, like you belong there. Um, and I remember as I got older and I would go to certain restaurants or be in certain places, I would be. I thought it was like a universal rule. I remember I would just be kind of fearful about how I was looked at when I showed up at the table of like a banquet dinner or something. And I remember like thinking, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Are people thinking like, what is she doing? What is she doing? And like I said, it almost bred some fear in me. But fast forward to um, 2018, I think this is one of the last times I saw my grandmother. We had a banquet dinner for our sorority. And she was sitting across the table from me. And I remember they sat the bread down on the table. Mind you, I'm in my late 20s at this point, still with the same concept that she's bred into us as children. And I look over to her, she grabs a roll, she just like stuffing the roll down her face. And I think that particular moment, a light bulb went off where I was like, I love my grandmother. But I think the concept of people will tell you what they think is best for you and shove principles down your throat that they think are best, but they may not hold themselves to that same standard. So while you are walking around feeling like you need to walk in perfection or feeling like you might be struggling and thinking that you're failing in front of others, people aren't even thinking that deep into it. So I say all that to say, at least for young Angela, don't spend so much time of your life trying to hold yourself to the standards of what other people think that you should be doing. Free yourself from that narrative. Make sure that you are living the life that best fits you. Because like I said, other people are going to do that for themselves. They're going to do what works best for them. And I feel like you should also be doing the same for you, because I spent so many years thinking that I should be doing a certain thing. I should be walking a certain path. I should be, or I should be moving in such a perfect way that it almost hindered me. It almost brewed so much fear in my world because I thought I wasn't living up to a certain standard that was unrealistic. We're all human. We all only have one life. Um, so I say all that to say, pivot as much as you need to, make choices for yourself, fail as many times as you need to. I have been several different things in this lifetime. Like I said, I've made choices to free myself from thinking, oh, I should be this type of person or that type of person. And like I said, there are people that know me as a YouTuber. There are people that know me as a photographer. There are people that know me as a Howard grad. There are people that know me as certain things that I've done in my lifetime. And I've reintroduced myself several different times because I've let myself pivot as many times as I want to. Because like I said, you only have one life. And with that being said, I also want to point out the fact that, at least for me, I have also been dealing with the anxiety of feeling like I always need to be doing something, or I always need to be working or accomplishing something. And that is also not true. There's so much value in rest. There's so much value in recovery. There's so much value in taking your time. I feel like I'm recovering from the trauma of, because I spent so much time trying to do what I thought others wanted for me, I feel like I'm trying to play catch up a little bit with pursuing passions of mine now. But at the same time, I've run into so much burnout thinking I need to be doing something every second of the day. And to all my people out there that are listening who probably feel the same, who are functioning in immense stress because you feel like your worth is in your work, that is not true. If all of this was taken away from me and I needed to put it down, or it just disappeared when I woke up tomorrow, I would still have so much value because I'm God's child. I was made in his image, and that's where my worth lies. I will always be his child, regardless of what I produce, regardless of what I accomplish. So I say all that to say, take your time, my love. Make your own choices. Don't worry about what other people want. Don't worry about what other people think. It's the turtle that won the race. So cherish this time. This time will not come back. So I love you. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode.